I really love the topic that I was given. First, congratulations to everyone who is graduating. I heard that this is a graduation event, so congratulations to you all. I'm hoping that we can have a very interactive session in the chat box. So please feel free to, use the chat box to say hello and drop your comments or questions if you have any. I'm going to try to keep this short so I can give room for questions, should there be any. All right, so our topic today is creating a digital footprint as a means of optimizing your personal brand. And this is such an interesting topic because I speak to a lot of people who come to me and they're like, Blessing, I'm interested in building a personal brand and I don't have a brand at all. But the truth is, whether or not you like it, you already have a brand. As you are right now, there is a brand. People already think about you in a very certain way. Out there, there's already a perception of you. The question is it one that you're comfortable with? Are you happy with the perception that's out there? Do you think that it can be better? Because branding is about taking you from where you are now to where you want to be, right? It's taking you from where your brand is right now towards and getting you closer to your intended brand. One of the things you need to know about branding is that it is a journey and it is not a destination. Every time you reach a certain spot, you're going to think, I want bigger, I want better. How can I get to that next level? Today, you might be a superstar in Nigeria, but you want to take that up and become a superstar in Africa. And you might be in Africa, then you not think, oh no, I don't want to be in Africa alone. I want to be global, or I want to conquer Asia, or I want to conquer this other part. So every single day is an opportunity for you to dream bigger, be better, and get to the goals that you have. Thanks to the internet, it is now possible more than ever to build an amazing personal brand across the world without even leaving your house. The people who have stayed at home and built strong global brands. I don't know how many of you remember the lady who eats chips. Like, she would make a joke, she would eat chips, and she would, she has become such a big superstar now. I think her name is Jumbo. I think it's Jumbo. So she would just make jokes, eat chips throughout the lockdown. That's what she was doing. And now she has moved her life. Now she's now a popular superstar, young lady. Elsa, thank you very much. Yes, Elsa. So Elsa has moved her life. She has worked with big brands, international luxury brands, just by participating digitally and opening up her own world, understanding that the world is limitless. So let's start with your personal brand. What is a personal brand? How I like to define a personal brand is this. A personal brand is who you are. A personal brand is who you are consistently as you interact with your target audience, right? And your target audience could be different depending on who you are. So your target audience could be employers, if that's who you're trying to reach out to. It could be a specific type of employers. Maybe you're trying to get into the FANGs of the world. So FANGs is Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, all of this kind of brand. Maybe you're looking to work in a Fortune 500 company, or maybe you're looking to work with African tech industry, break into the African tech industry. Those people are your target audience. So you want to be able to position yourself in a way that you can attract their attention. Now, why is it important for you to have a target audience? Let's tell a story. So imagine that you're going fishing with me. We're all going fishing. All of us here in this room are going fishing, and we decide that we want to fish for a shark. Where's the first place that we're going to check? So chat box, I expect that it would be popping now. Please tell me, where do you think we're going to check if we're going to fish for a shark? What kind of water body are we going to go to? I'm expecting responses in the chat. Guys, this is supposed to be interactive. Or where's my response? A C. Thank you so much, Leah. A C. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? An ocean. Okay, great. The sea. Thank you so much, Florence. Exactly. I don't see anybody typing river. I'm not saying river. Why are you not writing river? Because a shark does not live in the river. That's number one. So we're not going to find a shark in the river. We're not going to find a shark in the lake. We're not going to find a shark in a swimming pool, except somebody put it there. You can only find a shark in its natural habitat, which is sea or the ocean. Now let's try the second exercise. What bait are we going to use? Like, what are we going to use to attract the shark? All right, tell me, guys, tell me in the chat box, tell me in the chat box. What bait are we going to use to attract the shark? All right, I'm looking at the chat box right now, waiting for my responses. Waiting for my responses. A smaller fish. Okay, thank you, Favor. Thank you. So a smaller fish. Any other takers? Is there any other suggestion of what kind of bait we would use? What kind of bait would we use? Flesh. Thank you so much, Leah. So yes, flesh, smaller fish, anything that has blood, really. If a shark sees blood, they will just be excited. They'll swim closer towards it. Even if it's like your leg that is injured and you put it in the water, the shark would come. I don't see anybody typing worm. This is because if you put a worm in the sea, you're going to attract other fish, baby fish like the small ones. But what you will not attract is a shark. So this is why it's very important to know your target audience. When you know your target audience, you will know where they are to go and look for them. You will know exactly what water body, in our case, what environment you can look for them. So if you are targeting tech bros in Africa, you know that you should be spending some good time on Twitter, right? Because a lot of the tech bros in Africa are very active on Twitter. If you are looking for a specific demographic, maybe you want to work in the fashion industry, maybe you want to do fast tech or fashion, you know that you'll be spending some time on Instagram and on YouTube. You know, all of these different platforms will help you sort of prioritize where should I be? What kind of events should I be attending? Where should I be going? Where would I most likely find my target audience? That's number one. The next part of this is, remember I said, like your brand is who you are consistently as you interact with your target audience. Now I've spoken to you about your target audience. Let's talk about who you are. Any branding exercise starts with you. So you need to spend some time. So congratulations again on graduating. But this is the time that you're going to have to sit with yourself for a minute and ask yourself, what are my good at? What are the things that I'm good at? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What is my personality? What kind of places do I like to be in? What are the things that I like about myself? What are the things I want to improve about myself? What are my goals? You know, just really reflect, because personal branding starts with you. It doesn't end with you, but it starts with you. So you need to reflect. You need to go through a self-awareness journey to sort of understand who you are. What kind of places do you like to work? What would you like to do? Why do you want to work in XYZ industry? You know, just really ask yourself questions. And as you ask yourself questions, you could take one more step to research somebody who is already doing the thing that it is that you want to do, right? Remember, the goal of this is that you want to be consistent. So you want to be able to define the things that you like doing, the things that you already do, understand what your starting point is, because at the end of the day, the only way we can move forward is by starting where we are with what we have to get to where we want to be. All right, so now that we've established these two very important factors, who you are and your target audience, what are the things that you can do to establish your footprint? As you know, your footprint is like, imagine that you step on a place and you remove your leg, that footprint is still there. That's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to build something that lasts long, and beyond just lasting long, you want to leave a mark. That's what you're really trying to do. And now you're trying to leave a digital mark, right? So that you can optimize your personal brand, so that when you leave a place, people can remember you, they can discover you and remember you when they're done discovering. Let's dig a little deeper into that. When I was working in an agency, I remember that Lakon read my whole profile. So while I was working in one of the places that I was working, I remember that one of my team members had asked me, not asked me, asked the whole team, who are some people we should recommend for a specific activity? And everyone started throwing names around, right? So we're thinking about people and we're recommending people. But guess what? We could only recommend the people that we remembered. We could only remember and recommend the people that we knew. You don't necessarily, like in our scenario, we didn't necessarily have to have a relationship with that person. Like that person doesn't have to be our friend or somebody, but as long as we know them, know their work, we could recommend them and say, I think this person would be a good fit for this thing that you're trying to do. So now think about it in your perspective. Please drop, like, what is the role that you're looking for in your career? And what kind of career are you trying to build? If you can tell me in the chat box, so I can use them as examples. What kind of career are you trying to build? What kind of job opportunities are you looking out for now that you're a graduate? Tell me all about it in the chat box. I'm waiting. Tell me. All right. So while I wait for you to tell me, as you guys already know, I'm a branding and communications person. I currently am the co-founder of Ingressive for Good, which I'm hearing a lot of you know, which is really great. Yeah, graphic design, UX design. Thank you very much for sharing that with me. So imagine that they had asked us to recommend UX designers or front-end developers, right? In that moment, we had to think deeply about people that we knew who were good UX designers. And these things happen, this thing that I'm saying happens in a lot of organizations. Actually when the organizations are a bit smaller, you want to hire someone, you could just be like, oh, could you recommend some designers? We're looking to hire a designer. Or if a designer is leaving the company, you're like, oh, I want to replace our designer. Do you know anybody who would be a good fit? These are questions we meet every day. I'm sure people have asked you to recommend somebody before. It might not even be about a job. It might be, what cream are you using? Or cut soap for me, what soap are you using? We're constantly recommending. And think about those times that you had to recommend, right? It's the ones that you know or have used or that you remember that you recommend. If I ask you, recommend a social media app to me, it's the one that you know and can remember that you recommend. That's how life is generally. It's the person that we know and can remember that we will recommend. So it's very important as you build a personal brand, it is your job to ensure that you are discoverable and you are memorable, right? Discoverable and memorable. Please, if you're writing down, this is something you should really write down because you need to know it. How can you now be discoverable and memorable? It's really important to be discoverable because it's who we know that we recommend. Remember what I said. If I'm looking for, I may not know the name of the person that I'm also trying to find, but if I'm looking, I know the problem that I'm trying to solve. I know the solution that I'm trying to find. So that's why you probably find recruiters when they're trying to find somebody for a specific role, they would search UX designers because they don't know the name of the person that they are looking for, but they know what the pain point is. So they're Googling for their solution or they're searching for their solution. So the next question you want to ask is, if I search for my problem looking for a solution, will I find you? If I search for a UX designer for my organization, will I find you? That's really the purpose of this conversation that we're having today. I'm trying to ensure that I can finish by 2:30 so you can ask me a lot of questions. All right. So if I look for my problem, if I Google my problem, will I find you, right? If I Google UX designer in Africa, will I find you? If I do UX designer in Lagos, will I find you? These are very important because that's how a lot of people find the talents they're looking for. But even beyond Google, they also depend on recommendations from people, meaning that they can post on Twitter and say, we're looking for a UX designer. And so when they post on Twitter, we're looking for a UX designer, will people come and tag you on that, right? That's something you really need to think about. The way that you can change this, if you don't like where you are now, if you don't like how people, like, if you don't feel like you're discoverable enough or you are memorable enough, I'm going to share a couple of tips that will help you achieve that. All right. All right. So a lot is determined by people's ability to remember you. And think about it. Even Bill Gates, he doesn't make his decisions by himself. Yes, he's going to make a decision either way, but he would ask people like, what do you guys think? Who do you know in your network? Who is somebody that can do this? I'm looking for XYZ. Is there someone that you can recommend? So there are always all these different people that are positioned in life to help you get to the level that you're trying to get just by them calling your names in room that you're not in. So nobody's going to mention you if they don't know you, they can't find you, or they can't remember you. And so now, how can you be findable? You've learned so many amazing things from your training that you've attended. You have a lot of skills to show. So the first thing is to not beat yourself up or talk yourself down. You need to remember that you are special and you are enough. Yes, you are growing. Yes, you are improving, but you have something that somebody has. You have somebody wants. You have value to offer. You have skills that somebody needs. It's either that they can get those skills from you in a way that would, transform their company or do something that is really important to that company. Don't go anywhere begging for any job. Ask, but ask politely, but ask in a way that shows that you're confident in your skills. Don't be like, please now employ me, we're begging. No. Every single employer is employing because they have a gap to fill. They need somebody to come do something for them. I remember there was a time that we were looking for a data analyst intern, and we had a very specific task that we wanted a data analyst intern to do. It was very, very specific. So we knew that all the other data analysts who were working on projects in our company had other things, like they were really, really swamped. So they needed somebody who was going to take that pressure off, somebody that they can delegate stuff to, right? So imagine that data analyst is now coming, the data analyst is begging. When you are begging for a job or an opportunity, what you're telling me is that you don't have value to give me. The relationship is not going to be mutually beneficial, meaning you don't have any value to give me, but you want me to consider you, to do you a favor. However, if you're applying for a role and you know that you're bringing value to the table, don't be arrogant, don't be mean. You can clearly state the value that you have to offer with confidence. So maybe first take stock of your skill. Another good example that I'm going to give you is the story of my egg woman. And I need to talk about this story. So one random day, I was Googling how to cook an egg, and I found a woman who had over 10 million views teaching people how to cook an egg. I even found another video that was about 20 million views on how to cook an egg. I was like, are there really 20 million people in the world that don't know how to cook egg? Like something as basic as egg. How many people here can cook eggs? If you know how to cook eggs, just be like, I can cook an egg in the chat box. So something as simple as how to cook an egg, there were people who didn't know how to do it, right? And imagine if you can cook the egg, in your mind, you're always like, GC, God's power doesn't know how to make a perfect egg. So it means God's power is going to watch that woman's video and add to her views. And I'm sure God's power is a smart man. In fact, I was watching a movie one random day, and the man was an inventor. He had invented a multi-million-dollar company, and it was amazing. But this particular man didn't know how to use a microwave. All this story that I'm giving you is to tell you, you should not underestimate what it is that you know. Don't underestimate yourself. Don't underestimate your skills. Believe strongly in what it is that you know and can do, and be confident about it. So first, take stock of what you can do, and don't try to be fake humble. I call it fake humility. It's like, you can do something, but you're like, maybe I can't really do it. No, don't let imposter syndrome, rob you of an opportunity. Write down the skills, take a stock of the things that you know how to do. Now, once you've taken stock of that thing, then go ahead and do work in it. Like, you don't have to wait for somebody else to give you a job before you give yourself projects. Give yourself projects. I was reading something actually, and I found out, I found a speech that Shonda Rhimes wrote that she eventually gave. And it was about how if you compare a doer to a dreamer, doer is most likely going to succeed because they're putting consistent energy to ensure things are getting done, right? Meanwhile, the dreamer is busy dreaming. Yes, he might come back and, do something really great, but he will go back again because he's not consistent in delivering what it is that he's doing. You're more likely to succeed if you have consistent energy to do, like just show up a little bit every day. And why am I telling you this? Do good work. It's the good work that you do that is going to speak for you. You can't show what you are not doing. You need to show your work. All the learning that you've been learning so far, here, anywhere, all the people that they've invited to speak to you, all of the trainings that you have taken, have you been taking stock of it? Have you been like, what have you learned so far, right? These are little tiny things that adds value to yourself and adds value to you. So you need to do good work, right? If nobody else is giving you a project, there are platforms that would give you projects. You can look at, in fact, you can give yourself a project. There's a favorite artist of mine. He used to be Fela's album cover designer. And how did he find Fela? Because he just told himself that every day I'm going to draw something. Every single day, I'm going to draw something. So every day he'll draw something, no matter how little it is. He'll draw a cup, he'll draw a mug, he'll draw something. One day he had run out of things to draw. So he now said, I like this Fela song. Let me draw a cover. Like, let me draw something, what I imagine that a cover should look like. And he drew something. Finally, one random day, a man was drinking beer close to him, and the man said, man saw something that he had drawn for one of the beer owners, for the beer owner's shop. And the man said, who drew this thing? And they said his name. And he was like, oh, can you get the boy for me? I need to show him to Fela. And immediately this guy already had the picture that he wanted to present to Fela, because one random day while he was doing his daily learning, he had drawn something that had to do with Fela. It's not a coincidence. This is like opportunity meeting preparation. If you're doing good work every single day and giving yourself tasks to do when nobody else is giving you tasks, you would find out that when the opportunity comes, if somebody asks you, oh, have you done XYZ for let's say you're a UX designer and they say, have you done a UX design for a website before? You can say yes. You'll be like, yes, I have. It wasn't an official project, but it was something that I took upon myself to do. So try to create your own opportunities, create your own project. You don't have to wait for anybody's permission. There's one of our Ingressive for Good lady that I'm so proud of. I think she was trying to apply for a laptop opportunity, and she leveraged the Real Housewives of Lagos. Okay. So she leveraged the Real Housewives of Lagos thing that was going on. I'm sure all of you know about Real Housewives of Lagos, right? It was all over the internet. Everybody was talking about it, and she was learning data analysis. So she's like, let me do data analysis on. So she said, let me do a sentiment analysis on conversations happening on social media about Real Housewives of Lagos. And so she did it. Nobody sent her. She just did it by herself, and she shared it on social media. The day that came for her to apply for a laptop, all she had to do was share that sentiment analysis that she did and said, this is what I did. However, I'm looking for a laptop so that I can do more. And guess what? She did get the laptop. In fact, there were many people who were vying for opportunities to give her a laptop. She has not had to apply to, I don't know if she has applied to any jobs, but people have been reaching out to her. People have been interested in just talking to her, interviewing her, and speaking to her just because she did good work. So my point is, don't wait for anybody to give you work to do. Give yourself work. Does this help? And if you feel like you're not the kind of person that likes to give yourself work, find somewhere to volunteer while you're waiting for a great job to come along. The second thing is like, don't just do the work, show the work, right? Share what it is you're learning, share your journey, share your challenges, don't be scared to share. Now, I know some people will tell me they're introverts, but it's possible for you to decide that these are the things that I'm going to share, and these are the things that I would never share in my life. It's possible for you to be on social media and not share any aspect of your personal life, not one aspect. Like, people would come and see the content that you're posting. They will not even know it's you that is behind it. You don't have, and don't share because you're looking for likes. Don't share because you're looking for comments. Don't share because you're looking for attention. What you're doing is like, you're putting your work out there because you don't know who is going to see it. You don't know whose life is going to make better. You don't know who's going to learn from it, but you're putting it out there in the spirit of contribution. You're contributing to the environment, right? And what would happen then is someone might see it. Somebody might pick it up and talk about it on your behalf. I remember this girl that I gave you as an example, when she put her work and she shared it, she wasn't even the one that said, look at what I did. Somebody else came and said, were you not the one who did XYZ, and tagged her and retweeted her post. And it became so viral. Like, everybody knew that she was the one who did it. It was amazing. Find things to do. Don't just do it. Show the work that you've done, and don't be scared to say, oh, don't be like, I'm waiting for perfection. The goal is not perfection. The goal is growth, is progress. So you want to be able to share your progress. If you're going through a challenge, you should be able to say, oh, I was trying to get this done while I was coding in my front end engineering, or while I was doing my front end development, I was coding, and then I encountered this challenge. How do I go about it? There are people on the internet that are willing to help you. There's some people who just enjoy giving advice and just sharing, like, oh, maybe you could have tried this, maybe you could have done it like this. There are all these amazing people. So don't limit yourself. Don't be scared to share your work. Don't be scared to show things that would help you be more discoverable, right? Let me tell you the benefit of this. As you do these things, you're putting your work out there. So the day that I want to recommend you, or somebody else wants to recommend you, first you have a body of work. But beyond the body of work that you have, there are things that you can show. There are people who are already speaking for you because they're like, oh, I saw XYZ thing that this person did, and I believe that they can do it just based on this activity that they did. The next thing is show up, right? And this includes like showing up for events, showing up in communities, just showing up. Showing up is very important. I feel like I had said this earlier, but don't down talk yourself. Don't say, I don't know anything. If there's something you learned today, share that thing that you learned and explain that you just learned it, but this was how you were able to apply it in your life. Learning is not complete until you practice. So you need to practice. You need to put it into being. You need to put it into practice, right? For you to see, you come up with newer questions to ask. And the more you do, the more you leave your digital footprint out there. You don't have to be on every single social media platform. You could just pick one. If you don't like video, do audio. If you don't like audio, do text. Instagram is a video platform. Okay, that's fine. But you don't have to be pressured into doing a video. All these things are tools. You get to use these tools exactly how you want to use them, right? One of the great ways to leverage tools is to collaborate. And this is number 4, I think I'm sharing. Number 4, collaborate, right? Collaborate. Team up with other people that are within or outside your nation. Say, let's do something together. If you join communities in the community, let's do something together. We're like 20 on this chat right now. So of the 20 of us, I'm sure that there are people that you can talk to and collaborate and do something together. If there's a front-end developer here, there's a UX designer here, come together and do something. Come together, work on an idea together and say, you know, I want to create XYZ type of site. It's a dummy site, but it's going to give both of us, you know, portfolio. It's going to help us build our portfolio. You could even donate yourself to the Skillup Africa and say, hi guys, so we noticed XYZ while we were taking our training. And so we would like to help fix this problem by doing XYZ. Like, just suggest stuff, be helpful, give yourself projects. And you don't have to do those projects alone. Collaborate with other people. As you collaborate, you could collaborate with somebody else. Like you could even do if you don't know how to show up, one brilliant example could be a UX designer and a software developer could come together, or a web developer could come together and say they want to talk about working together in a job environment. How can UX designers and developers work together? And you would hear the side of the software developer, you would also hear the side of the UX designer, and you guys could both speak coming from places of experience, right? Like, this is what I wish that, developers would tell me to make my work easier. Or this is what I wish that the designer would do to make my work easier. That way, as you're sharing, somebody else is learning, you're helping to make somebody else's life better and easier. Now, the second to the last thing that I'm going to talk about is contribution. A lot of us want to take first position, want to be the ones to say, I did it. It is me. I am the one that did it. It doesn't help anybody. I always think that, Steve Jobs would not have gotten as far as he did if Charles Babbage did not invent the abacus or go about the abacus the way that he did. Steve Jobs needed Charles Babbage to create the abacus. In fact, people needed Steve Jobs and Steve Woz to create what they created, the very early versions of Macs and iPhones and iPods and all of that, for the current versions of iPhone 13s and 14s and all of that to exist, right? And all of this is happening via contribution. We need to embrace the spirit of contributing. Whatever we give out into the world could be the next step that another person needs to make the advancement that it needs to make the world better. If the world is better, it gets better for all of us. Imagine somebody was hurting their own discoveries because they wanted to be the ones to find out, I'm the one that discovered it. Imagine that the people who were all working in different health sectors to find the cure for COVID or to find vaccines were all working in silos because they didn't want to share what it is that they knew. It would have helped anybody. People were coming out, they would share their research papers, share their research, share the things that the advancements that they've made up onto a certain level so that other people can leverage on that research and build the next thing, right? So people like George Cayley had to create what they created for the Wright brothers to be able to invent the airplanes. All of these things are important. So don't be that person who hoards information because you're looking for glory. Embrace sharing so you can contribute to making the world a better place. Now, the final thing that I want to tell you is don't be afraid to network. Now, don't wait for somebody to blow before you start fanzing them. Don't wait for somebody to be, to be big before you start reaching out to them and trying to network. The people who are here right now with you, they're on your level. You guys are peers. You're not going to be peers in 5 years' time. Everybody's lives are going to change drastically in 5 years' time. You don't know where anybody's going to end up. So if you find somebody that you love their energy, you vibe with them, leverage that energy and build a strong relationship or a good relationship. It could be a professional relationship. You don't have to be friends, but you could have a brilliant professional relationship where you could, have access to that person and that person could have access to you as well. Why this is important is because you don't want to wait until somebody has gotten to a certain level or until the point until you need a person to be friends with them or to have a relationship with them. You want to start building that relationship now. So think about it. It's nice to and one of the things I like to say is try to network across levels, right? Network with somebody who is way better than you. Network with somebody who is like you, and then network with somebody who is not as great as you, but somebody you can mentor, you can teach. Everybody's lives will change. Everybody will change level. You don't want to be in this situation. Okay, so for example, my favorite example is like Wizkid and Olamide. When Wizkid and Olamide met, they didn't know where their lives were going to be. Even Wizkid himself did not know where his life was going to be at a certain time. So there were people that were bigger than him back then. He has overtaken some people, right? So imagine that you feel like, I'm a star now, I'm the best person, I'm the everything. Some people would overtake you. So you want to ensure that you have a brilliant relationship with people. And I'm not saying that only network because you want to get things out of people, but the best way to network is by giving. And if you don't remember any other thing that I have said today, please remember that you need to embrace the spirit of giving. Giving is what's going to take you anywhere and everywhere. Being the person to give first, offer first, give value, have something to offer, right? Think to yourself, what is it that I can do to add value to this next person? How can I improve their lives? What is it that they need? And one of the mistakes I see a lot of people make in networking is that you meet somebody and you just want to talk about yourself all through, and you don't even give the person a chance to talk. That's not the way to network. Instead, hold a conversation, be genuinely interested, show interest, and have a conversation. Of course, say, hello, my name is this, and this is what I do. Keep it really short. Ask them about themselves. What do you do? And be genuinely interested. Listen. As you listen, you have newer questions to ask that person and try to figure out, is there a way that I can help this person? Is there an opportunity for me to add value to this person? Just ask those questions in your mind. The more valuable you become, the easier it is for people to, want you in their space. That's the truth. The last thing, I know that I said I was going to say the last thing, but the last thing I would say is communities are powerful, right? Be part of communities. You can't do it alone. There are going to be people who, you don't even know. There's just going to be great people in different communities. Just pick the community that you align with, maybe a community that adds value to you and the goals that you're building. You have a shared benefit or shared something with, and be part of those communities. And when you're in those communities, all those first things that I said, add value, contribute, network, do all those things in the community. Don't just be the person who takes up all the energy in a community. Be the person who adds value in a community, the person that people feel comfortable reaching out to for help, the person people feel comfortable recommending for stuff. The more people reach out to you for help, the more likely they are to recommend you for other opportunities. I hope that everything that I have shared with you today is beneficial. And I hope that you continue to remember that you're valuable, you are strong, and you are enough. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to, indicate either in the chat box, or I will take this back to Lekon. Lekon would be in a better position to moderate how we're going to take the questions. Lekon, how do you suggest we take questions?